Hey everyone, welcome back to the Canadian Real Estate Homefront podcast. So today we're going to try and do like these little quick videos here, but there was, this breaking news that Justin Trudeau and our housing minister, Sean Fraser, were making this big announcement in London, Ontario today, because that's where the caucus is meeting. And it really just felt like more housing disappointment, especially for us young people. It really felt like it was just, kind of political theater in a way. And what they announced was that they were basically having this $4 billion housing fund that they were going to invest in London, Ontario. And, while that might be good for London, Ontario, basically what the idea was is that Sean Fraser reached out to the mayor of London and basically, asked them to make more density around, highly populated areas that really need it. In my mind, this is more around like Western and Fanshawe, those kind of school areas. He did mention a student who, took 45 minutes to get there and back from school and classes just because they couldn't afford a place to live, which is sad. But basically what they said in the conference too, and what the mayor said was that they were going to add about 2,000 units in 3 years. Now, just to put this into perspective, CMHC estimates we need about 3.5 million units to restore affordability by 2030. So it was really just, to be honest, it felt a lot more just like something that didn't even need a press conference. It really just could have been an article, within the news or something like that, or even just a tweet. It really just felt like a disappointment. I was really hoping to hear more from them. But it does feel like what they're trying to do is really win back voters, especially young people. You can see it in the polls that they're really losing the ground. And it feels like when they're talking about building more density, and they did say we invite other areas of Canada to really, work with us and, incentivize builders and, everyone's working together to create more housing stock because we're in this crisis. What it really felt like was almost just this, scam of what Pierre has been saying for years now. His housing plan was to build more density around really, around transit areas and stuff like that. And, it feels like, maybe a step in the right direction, if London, Ontario is going to do it. But like Sean Fraser saying, hey, reach out to us. It almost feels like, what if a mayor doesn't want more density? What if, municipalities don't want more stuff being built, and you have these, different voters within that region, Oakville as an example, who don't want more density, not in my backyard sort of people, who don't want condominiums built all around them. That's not solving our crisis. What I was really hoping to hear was, what he's talking about with all these international students, putting a cap on it. What's the plan behind that? I know they're talking about, incentivizing builders, but how are you going to do that? How are you going to get builders to build more homes? And I've always said, offer them cheaper interest rates so their margins actually make sense. You're going to employ more people to build, and maybe the people that you immigrate are going to be people who are in the skilled trade, because I know we have a shortage in that. But right now, the shortage doesn't seem to be coming to fruition because it feels as though housing starts are on the decline because interest rates are so high. So, although it feels like this was a huge announcement, I was actually really looking forward to it because the Liberals are taking this, this stance on housing. They're going to try and do more for housing. And our next election isn't until 2025. So, in a whole year, maybe we can at least try and take a step in the right direction to build more homes because it's just so needed. And not just more homes for people to become home buyers, but more homes for even just people to rent because the rental market is just so crazy. So, it felt like this announcement was almost just to try and win back some voters, to try and show that, hey, we're going to do things going forward. But yeah, $4 billion doesn't seem like a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. The average price in Ontario alone is over $800,000 for a house. And obviously there's different ways to factor that in. If you take out, expensive areas like Toronto, obviously that does go on the decline. But again, the most densely populated areas are where, most people want to be. And that's for good reason, right? For jobs and for, just overall lifestyle. So, there was a question from, I believe she was a student from the Western Gazette, and she was like, it's all cool that you want to do this now. You want to create more units around Western now, but what happens when people get out of Western? What happens when they want to start families? What happens when they actually want to, have home ownership. Well, he kind of responded with, our plan with the accelerator program is to make things more affordable for young people in the future so they can actually buy homes in the areas they grew up in. And I think many young people can attest that does not seem like a reality anytime soon. I mean, the average price where I grew up in now is well over $2 million for a detached home. It doesn't seem like that's in grasp, but maybe in other parts of Ontario, it could be in grasp if they do bring prices down. But a reporter did ask a really good question. He said, are you saying that house prices need to come down in order for us to kind of restore affordability? Is that kind of your goal, is to bring prices down? And obviously you have to answer this question quite critically as a politician, because you have a huge voter base who are banking on their house being so expensive, and that's their retirement, right? They don't want their house to go from 2.5 million down to 2 million or even less. So you have to be really careful answering this question. And what he said was, we just don't want house prices to go up anymore. So, you're kind of saying, okay, we don't want house prices to go up anymore. So it's almost like, why would you even want to buy a house then if you don't want prices to go up more? That's kind of the message, right? If you're a young person getting in the housing market, why buy a house if you're not going to get the appreciation that your parents saw? And to be frank, I don't think that's ever going to happen, because it just gone up way too fast. It would just way out, exceed incomes at that point. But, other than it being a forced savings account right now for you going forward, or just a place to call home, it was kind of like almost like a backward message. He did say too, just to touch on it quick, is that Sean Fraser was saying that the Mayor of London is open and did put in place a plan where someone who owns a piece of land in a certain area can build up to 4 units. Obviously, this is going to help, but, if you pencil the numbers, do they make sense? Does it make sense to build 4 units? Where do you get the capital from to build those 4 units? Do you have the time to build those 4 units? It would take a very capitalistic person and someone who's very savvy to actually build 4 units on their property. What if someone's just in their later years and they just own this piece of land with this house on it for such a long time that they have no intention of ever building 4 units? But to be honest, if you can build 4 units and this person does go to sell it, it's probably going to sell at a premium now, because you can have more units on a property, and investors like more units. The more units you have, the higher the rent yield is, the better the cap rate at the end of the day. So anyways, this was just like a quick summary of what I heard. It sounds like they're going to make more announcements going forward, which I will definitely keep you guys updated on this channel on. Hopefully we get more, steps in the right direction for people to afford homes, and, especially people struggling on variables or struggling to get into the rental market, who are still living at home with their parents. Housing is a crisis, and it seems like the Liberals are really taking a stance on that because they're losing votes. So anyways, these are just my thoughts in real time. If you guys have any questions or comments, do so down below. If you want to work with myself or Brooke in the Oakville, Hamilton, and Burlington area, just shoot us a message. I'll leave all our details down below. We really appreciate you guys watching and for the support of the channel, and share the hell out of this video if you can. All right, thanks so much for watching. Take care.